Hey there and welcome to this lesson. In today's lesson, I'm going to teach you how to play your first beat on the drum kit. And that beat happens to be the most used beat in the world. This beat is featured in literally thousands of songs. I'm also going to create a playlist on my channel so you can go and use this beat with all of those songs and you can play music from day one. Now this is a super simple beat and there's drummers out there who literally call this the moneymaker. So the first part of the drum kit we're going to use are the hi-hat. Now the hi-hats are cymbals, which essentially are just metal plates that we hit. In our hi-hat's case, we're using two cymbals, one on top that moves up and down, and the bottom one stays stationary, and we close them or open them to change the sound. And we do that with our left foot. For this variation, all we're going to do is we're going to hold that closed. So the way I want you to do that is lift up your heel, and that will put the weight naturally on the ball of your foot, and will hold that hi-hat down nice and tight and give you the best sound. The next drum we're going to be using is the snare drum. That's one that sits in between our legs, and it makes a different sound to all the other drums. It makes almost like a popping kind of sound. And the reason it does that is because we've got wires that are stretched out along the bottom and they're coiled. And when we hit the drum, they vibrate against the bottom skin, and that gives us our snare drum sound. And we're going to play that with our left hand. So our left hand for the snare drum is going to sit underneath our right hand, which we're playing on the hi-hat. And the reason you want to do that is because if you swap them around, it's going to be really awkward to hit the snare drum while trying to keep your hands here trying to play the hi-hat. So you just bring your right hand over and you keep your left hand underneath. Now you may want to play open-handed. That's totally up to you. That's where you play your left hand on the hi-hat and your right hand on the snare. I've been brought up to be playing closed-handed, and I do play a little bit open-handed myself. But for now, just to keep it simple, I'm going to talk about it with my right hand on the hi-hat. And lastly, we've got the biggest drum of the drum kit, which is the bass drum. And we play that with our foot, in my case, my right foot, and I'm just going to move the pedal with my foot, and that's going to hit the bass drum. So I've got my right foot on the bass drum, I've got my left hand on the snare drum, and I've got my right hand above that on the hi-hat. And for those of you at home playing without a drum kit, but you'd still want to learn how to do it, don't feel bad. You can do a lot of this stuff without a drum kit at the start. All you're going to do is play your right hand on your left shoulder, left hand on your left leg, and then stomp your foot with the bass drum. Then when you get your drums, you can just take this from there. You've done 90% of the work. So to play our beat, all we're going to do is we're going to start with the backbone of the beat, which is our hi-hat. Now everything we're going to play is going to stick to that hi-hat. And all we're going to do is we're going to count out loud 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Super important to count out loud because it's going to allow us to know exactly where to put everything else. Now the next thing we're going to add is the snare drum, and to connect to our backbone we're going to play the backbeat, which is going to be on 2 and 4. Now you might have heard of people call it a backbeat before. That's all they mean, 2 and 4. So we're going to play the snare drum when we count 2 and 4, and that's going to sound like this. Now our last element that we're going to add is we're going to play bass drum now on 1 and 3. So when we count 1 and 3, we're going to play bass drum along with our hi-hat and snare drum. So really, if you think about it, we've got bass drum on 1, snare drum on 2, bass drum on 3, snare drum on 4, bass drum on 1, snare drum on 2, bass drum on 3, snare drum on 4. And we're just going to keep repeating that, and that is going to give us our beat. Now I have 3 things that you're going to need to do in order to be successful at this instrument. And the first one is count out aloud. This means that when you're counting, you can hear yourself counting, because I'm pretty sure that if I said to you count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, you don't have to put a lot of brain power into that. So the idea is that when you're counting out loud, it's kind of an autopilot thing. And then when you're in your head thinking, oh, well, we've got to play this, got to play that, you're listening to that count. And that is going to really help you in making sure that everything you play is going to be in the right spot, which is the most important thing before adding speed. If you try and jump the gun and try and play fast straight away, it's just going to sound like a red hot mess, and it's not going to sound right. And 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be right. So take your time, the speed will come. Number 2 is follow the music. Now, whenever you're practicing anything on the drums, you want to follow along as you're going so you can keep an eye on what's going on, and it can remind you of, hey, yeah, I've got to play this here, I've got to play that here. Once you get it in your head, you don't need to really follow the music anymore. You can try and get that groove in your head. Given this one is kind of simple, you might not have to look at it for that long, but this is something that is really going to help you, especially as you progress down the line. And last but not least, go slow enough that you know what's going on. If you're making mistakes and you're doing everything, you're counting out loud, you're following the music, the last thing that's going to happen that will be causing all the issues is you're just going too fast. This is a new thing. Your brain's trying to do stuff it's not used to doing. It's trying to do 3-way coordination, which is really hard when you're not used to it. So give your brain time to send the right messages to the right place. You slowing down is going to make it your chance of success much, much greater. So remember, you don't have to play it as fast as I did just then, but remember those 3 things and you can't lose. Now the next thing is endurance. You want to be able to hold this beat for between 2 to 4 minutes because that's average of what a song would be. So you're not going to be good to anyone if you can hold it for 3 cycles and then you stop and think, oh, that's good. Like, no one's going to dance to that or we're going to listen to a song or sing a song. It's not like some songs are long, but this one isn't. So I would recommend playing with a metronome for about 2 minutes at a tempo and really trying to lock in. Now, once you're comfortable with that, I want you to go to the playlist on my channel and find the one called My First Beat. In that playlist, I'm going to have a whole bunch of songs that use this beat, so you can start off very slow and work up to the faster songs. And doing what it's all about, and that's playing music and having fun. So thank you so much for checking out this lesson. If you liked it, please hit that thumbs up. And if you're not already a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button and the bell to be notified when I upload new lessons. And if you would like to go deeper with your learning, please check out my website, intodrums.com, where you will get access to me directly and I can teach you how to play this beautiful instrument. So thanks again, guys. I'll be back next week with more drum goodness for you. So until then, have a fantastic week. And as always, happy practicing.